This episode of the D-Lew Podcast is brought to you by Goalie Nutrition. As someone who's used Goalie for quite some time, I can tell you that they're not only very good, but they're very beneficial. My favorite are the Super Green Gummies. The Super Green Gummies are uniquely crafted with a spectrum of essential nutrients such as vitamins A, B12, folic acid, and thiamine. It supports a healthy liver function, healthy nervous and immune system, digestive health, a boost to your metabolism, and overall health and well-being. There are no artificial sweeteners, flavors, or colors from artificial sources. They're vegan-friendly, gluten-free, and gelatin-free. All loyal listeners of the D-Lew Podcast get a special 10% discount at checkout. Go to goalie.com, use promo code DLEW. That's goalie.com, use promo code DLEW. This podcast is a Believe Network and Siete production. Welcome to another edition of the D-Lew Podcast, brought to you by Believe Network. I'm your host, Derrick T. Lewis. Before I move forward, I want to offer my sincere condolences to the family and everyone in the wrestling business who lost one of our own recently, Jimmy the Jester, James Pasquale, his real name, and a dude that I really got to know, during my whole entire tenure at the world famous Monster Factory. One of the most funniest guys. I mean, granted, he has a clown. He had a clown gimmick, but he was genuinely funny, and he did everything he possibly could to make us all laugh every single time we were all together. So it was a really, really sad, time, recently, for all of us, that knew Jimmy and that worked with him, and he will definitely be missed. So again, my heartfelt condolences goes out to definitely his family and all the guys and girls in the business who knew him and worked with him. But speaking of professional wrestling, this past weekend, I had a double shot over at SWF in North and Central Jersey for Mega Slam Night 1 and 2. It was a great time. Got a chance to work with Mr. Kennedy, WWE legend, as well as another legend, Gene Snitsky, and of course, all the way from San Juan, Puerto Rico, Savio Vega, a guy that I used to read about in, as old wrestling fans would say, the After magazines, but PWI, and I used to read about a lot of the wrestling, not just in the United States, but all over the world, including Puerto Rico. And he wrestled as TNT in Puerto Rico. And I had told him that. I said, dude, I followed your career over 30 years. And he was just like, really? I'm like, yeah. So it was a really, really cool to work with some people that I've watched on television for years, and being able to talk with them, share, take some pictures and everything. It was truly amazing, So thank you, Rob Fury, for again bringing me on back in September last year, to be a part of the SWF family and allowing me to hone my craft and get better at what I do as a ring announcer. So again, thank you. But as you're hearing this show, every Thursday I drop this show, it's the NFL draft. It's interesting because the fact that there's not a clear number one overall pick, is really making this draft interesting. Everyone thinks it's CJ. Some of us, we don't know. We don't know who the number one pick is going to be. For all we know, team might end up trading the pick again. You just never know, as it gets closer and closer to, the time that the draft starts. But, best wishes to all the football players who entered the draft, that are draft eligible, and may their dreams come true. But this week on this episode of the D-Lew Podcast, I do have recording artist, entrepreneur, Zoe Rosegold, and again, another contemporary of mine in the music industry. Her and I have known each other for the last couple of years. She's actually interviewed me before on Radio Pushers, their platform with their podcast. And her and I, again, had a chance to meet in Miami, and talk at length at our music conference. And we talked about a lot of different things, there in Miami. But on this episode, we went and took an even deeper dive into her career, what she's doing now in all aspects. So let's not wait any longer. My interview with Zoe Rosegold starts right now. This episode, I have the honor and the privilege of speaking with somebody that, has been everything to me in regards to the music industry and taught me a lot. I've learned a lot from her, and she is talk about doing everything that there is, whether it's music, inventor, etc. She does it all. The one and only Zoe Rosegold. Thank you for coming out to the D-Lew Podcast. How are you?
What's up? What's up? I'm so happy to be here. Congratulations on starting this podcast. This is something that I'm sure you will excel in because you've been doing so well with these things, these podcast things. So I'm happy to be here.
I appreciate that. And what's crazy is that during the pandemic, you were hosting a podcast and you interviewed me. And at that time, I wasn't even thinking about doing any podcasts. I wasn't thinking about doing anything. I was just focusing on the acting and the music and the pro wrestling. And then, of course, Jonathan P. Wright from Radio Pushers, who we work with, presented an opportunity to me to take over the podcast that he was doing, the We Build Different podcast. And that definitely motivated me to branch out and restart this podcast that I did in 2014. So, huge kudos to Jonathan, to you, to Koresh, and to everybody at Radio Pushers for, giving me the confidence and also give me that boost that I needed to say, you know what, man, it's time to go on your own and do this again. But again, it's not about me. It's all about you. And I'm talking about everything you're doing in your career. And obviously every story has its beginning. Yeah. Tell me about life growing up in Queens.
Yeah, I am definitely a New Yorker, born and raised in New York, mostly grew up in Queens. Mm-hmm. I just had my siblings and we were close. So we just just try to do what we needed to do in Queens, like try not to get in trouble. We tried to go to school and had Haitian parents who, my dad was really strict. So we had that strict discipline that he instilled in us. So a lot of us thought education was important. And that's about it.
So where did music come into Zoe Rosegold's life? Was it, were you young? Was it like high school years? And when was it that you became, music into your life in regards to just being a fan of it?
Yeah, well, music came into my life I can remember early in that. Okay, so my mother used to tell me I used to moonwalk all the time. As a kid, I liked Michael Jackson, and she would say, like, I would, when she had friends over, I would just like entertain them and moonwalk and things like that. I don't necessarily remember that too much, but that's what she said. I do remember in high school joining like a choir, and I remember in college like joining another choir. So I always loved music. It wasn't something that was encouraged, with family. They weren't like, oh yeah, you're a part of a choir, keep it going. That's a great thing. My father was more about education, so he didn't want us to do any extracurricular things. It was just mostly about education. So that wasn't really encouraged in my life. So just later on as an adult, and when I just was able to make my own decisions, and eventually I just decided to pursue it. And it was mostly when I moved back to New York. I was living in Texas for a little bit, and I moved back to New York, and I don't know, something in me just was like, this is the time, let me do it. So
Okay. Now, when you were younger, who were some of your influences? Who were some of the artists that you admired? I know you were talking about when you were younger, you were doing the moonwalk, Michael Jackson, obviously. I mean, who didn't do it? I know I did it, but who were some of those artists, way back when that you were a fan of and you appreciated their creativity at the time?
oh yeah, I mean, I really love Michael Jackson. Everyone does. It just never grow he never grows old. Like, you have little babies being born now, and they're like, they know Michael Jackson. So he's just a legend.
Timeless. Mm-hmm.
Yep, definitely, that's the right word, timeless. But did I do like Whitney Houston a lot. I like Toni Braxton a lot.
Mm.
I listened to a lot of reggae growing up, because I had neighbors who were Jamaican, and they played it very loud. So a good thing I liked the music, because it didn't bother me too much. So reggae was something that really kind of in was instilled in me, and just that's one of the biggest influences in my sound. So yeah, so pretty much that was the different things that influenced me growing up.
Who were speaking of reggae? Who were some of those artists that you listened to?
I liked There was one guy named Sanchez. There was Barris Hammond. Like, I like the smooth reggae. They did a lot of smooth reggae, but I did like uh Buju Banton, and those people. They were a little more rough.
Matt Cobra,
Yeah. Oh,
Shaba.
yeah, yeah. But I mostly like Sanchez and Barris Hammond. They have like a timeless sound. So I really like them a lot.
Okay. And I
Mm.
mean, just that early 90s, like it was such a huge wave that came through. It was a lot of like late 80s, early 90s. And you made mention to Buju and I mentioned, Matt Cobra and Shaba Ranks, and Patra was my favorite. I mean, in an era where it was a lot of it seemed like very male dominated at that time, and she was one of the few female reggae artists that really crossed over into the American audience, and I really appreciated her being very bold, in a male dominated genre and
Mm.
everything else. So talk about your experience making your first record. What was that experience like for you, once you made the decision, obviously, to get into the music industry? What was it like, making that first record? And tell the people, like, which one, what was the name of it, and what the whole experience was like.
Well, I mean, I started doing music about 3, 4 years ago.
Oh wow,
However,
okay.
yeah, however, I have done music before that. And I've written music and recorded music. That stuff I don't really have anymore because I'm
Oh, okay, okay.
but let's see, the first song, yeah, it's hard for me to remember those songs, but recently the first song I did was a remix of that song that's called Sugar, like pour that sugar on me.
Yeah, Def Leppard.
Def Leppard, thank you. So I did a remix to that. So I had my one of my friends who does tracks, and I was like, I like this song, cut it up for me, chop it up, and I want to do a remix. So you guys could hear that on SoundCloud, because it's just a cover kind of. So I wasn't able to, like, put it on Apple and Tidal and stuff like that, because I don't have the rights for it. But I did do that remix. That was the first song I did, and that was fun. I thought I think the beat was good. I think the concept was good. Um, so it was me starting off again, starting fresh with music. So
Right.
I think I've grown a lot since then, but I think it's still a good record.
So when you're writing, and then we're talking about you're covering a Def Leppard song, but which by the way I saw Def Leppard a couple months ago and I'm in concert, and those guys can still go. Those guys
Yeah.
can still go. Oh yeah, I went to the stadium tour. It was Def Leppard, Motley Crue, Poison, and Joan Jett,
Mm.
and yeah, and they still got it. They still got it. It was incredible. And they played some of their big hits, but that's a nice song to cover. But the
Mm.
process though of writing, you know what I mean? Where do you go? What play like? Tell me the mindset of Zoe Rosegold when she's writing.
Usually what makes me write a song is I'm inspired by a song that I'm listening to,
Mm-hmm.
inspired by it, and just one part of the song may inspire me, and then I just create a whole new sound and song from something I heard or an idea that the song gave me.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so that's mostly uh how I've written music. Recently, because of just moving around a lot, I haven't been able to. I don't know. I just haven't been able to be in my car and listen to music all the time. That's how I would really start writing music. But I've been writing from scratch, like just concepts in my head, and
Mm-hmm.
I've just been writing from that. So I haven't had a track or a beat. I've just been writing, and the rhythm is in my head.
Gotcha.
So. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, describe your musical style.
Hmm. My musical style, I would say it's a little, it's definitely a lot of Caribbean. It's New York in there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I have different styles. So I can do something that's me kind of more so singing. And then I can do songs that are straight up just me rapping,
Right.
So definitely my rap style is more so New York. And my singing is more so Caribbean. Like it has
Okay. Yeah.
the rhythm is usually Caribbean, and the ideas are just really usually just about relationships, love, things like that.
Okay. Now I have a two-part question for you, and we're gonna jump around here a little bit. But in what ways do you think that the hip hop genre has evolved over the years? And what in the second part of that is what do you think is missing from the genre?
Ah, well, I think with hip hop at its infancy, it was just fun party, you know,
Right. Right.
people working 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, but it was just like Friday night, let's just boogie. So I think it from its infancy, it started that way. I think it started to evolve into like uh cultural and political
Mm-hmm.
aspects. I think it unified a lot of black people, brown people. It unified them. And then I just I think in the late 90s, early 2000s, uh it became more of a violent type of music.
Mm-hmm.
It became more violent, and I believe that it that was done that was a reason for that, because prisons became private and they wanted to fill them up, you know so I believe that's that's why that evolution happens. Right now, I still think it's more on that level. It's low vibration, low frequency type music right now. Um, I think there are some people, some rappers that are trying to not always talk about, kill, like drill type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't want to say these people who do drill music are not talented, but it's I just I can't support music that involves killing people, especially killing my people, especially killing a certain type of people. I
Yeah.
can't support music that way. Just like I can't support a neighborhood rapist, just like I can't support a neighborhood killer.
Right,
Just like
exactly. Right.
so I
Yeah, that's
can't,
just wrong. It's
you
and
know,
you hear about those things a lot, with some of the unfortunate, incidents that's happened, especially over the last year or two. It's been like, I feel bad, for all involved because I just think that there's an alternative to resolve issues.
mhm,
There's an alternative to kind of put let cooler heads prevail type thing. So I think it's important that artists like yourself and artists that plenty of artists that we know that can drive the car, so to speak, and to assure that the genre be in a much better place. And I hope that everybody can kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel as far as saying, it really isn't that bad. We can all just, create and create moments and
mhm.
continue the legacy in the lineage of the genre for sure. You know what I mean? This episode of the D-Lew Podcast is brought to you by Goalie Nutrition. As someone who's used Goalie for quite some time, I can tell you that they're not only very good, but they're very beneficial. My favorite are the Super Green Gummies. The Super Green Gummies are uniquely crafted with a spectrum of essential nutrients such as vitamins A, B12, folic acid, and thiamine. It supports a healthy liver function, healthy nervous and immune system, digestive health, a boost to your metabolism, and overall health and well-being. There are no artificial sweeteners, flavors, or colors from artificial sources. They're vegan friendly, gluten free, and gelatin free. All loyal listeners of the D-Lew Podcast get a special 10% discount at checkout. Go to goalie.com, use promo code DLEW. That's goalie.com, use promo code DLEW. Now, through your journey, um, has any family members or friends, giving you feedback or anything of the sort regarding any of your records?
Yeah, I mean, like people you really like Yo-Yo. Like I haven't met someone who doesn't like Yo-Yo, So family, friends, they like that song. I just have, there's a song called Carnival. You
Mm-hmm.
uh I have a lot of family and friends who like that song because that's really, really Caribbean right there. And High Grade is really popular. It's like a crossover. It can cross over to all types of different genres. I've gotten a lot of positive feedbacks about my music. I think honestly, from what I've seen, people don't like me to be hardcore, rap. Uh, so I've gotten a little bit of uh that kind of vibe too. So yeah, it's just I've just gotten different comments from different people, but it's mostly been positive.
Now, through your career, obviously, before the pandemic, obviously, obviously with the last 2 years has been crazy with COVID and everything else going on. But before then, have you experienced performing live, in front of a live crowd? And if so, what were some of those experiences like in performing in a crowd in one city versus another?
Yeah, I've mostly performed live in New York.
Mm-hmm.
I did a lot of us artists, including yourself. We performed live in Miami in
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
November, so that was great. Uh, I mean, the to me the difference is, Miami, you can just be outdoors, and in New York you have to be indoors. So, but that's about it. So I only have two cities to compare it to. So
Mm-hmm.
every is pretty similar, as far as the vibe. You know, it's pretty similar.
Okay. Now, let's hop off music a little bit and talk about some of the things you do outside of it. Now,
Mm.
I've known you a while, and I know you're an inventor. So, talk about some of the things you have going on outside of music.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So yeah, I did. There's something called rose petal pillow sheets that
Okay.
I So basically, it's a pillow cover, it's a satin pillow cover, and it has several layers to it. So
Hmm.
basically, we go to bed sleeping on the same pillow case every night. No one changes their pillow cover or pillow case every night. So you sleep on it. Say you sleep on it Monday, and then you sleep on it again Tuesday. So the oils that build up from maybe sweating, or maybe some people drool or whatever,
Right.
those those things that uh happen Monday night, you're gonna go ahead and sleep on it Tuesday night. So basically what I designed is, basically it has multiple layers. So you can sleep on a new pillow cover every night.
Every night. Right, 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 right.
At the end of the week, you wash it and then you start it over again. So instead of just like, oh, let me get a new pillowcase, let me get a new pillowcase every night, or, you have one pillow cover every night, you got a new sheet.
Right. So, what was and again, that sounds like a very, the thought process of trying to come up with a product like that, and I'm sure that takes a lot of time. Now, were there any case studies that you did in regards to, what the product can do, or anything of the sort?
Um, no, no, not really. I didn't do any case studies. I just knew what my skin needed.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted something soft to sleep on. I wanted something comfortable. I wanted to be able to sleep on something fresh every night.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty much what I wanted, and it prevents wrinkles and skin creases and stuff like that. Just the material. So mainly, I did it for me. I've used this technique for over a decade now. I've used this technique for a while, or close to a decade. So
Okay.
I this technique for a while. So I just decided to, like, let me just design it and then and start selling it to other people, because I think everyone can benefit from it.
Now, speaking of which, where can people find this product?
Yeah, I mean, right now, I'm on Amazon. You can just look up rose petal pill sheets, and it's there. You guys can also go to my Instagram at rose petal pillow sheets as well. So rose petal pillow sheets with the S at the end.
Well, I will definitely pick up some for sure once we get done with this interview. And it sounds like something we all need. You know what I mean? So
Right.
and when and so you said this was 10 years ago you talking about that you were doing this, or
No, I mean, I've always wanted to sleep on something fresh every night. So I would just do my own thing, like my own
Mhm.
makeshift stuff where, to make sure I slept on, something clean every night. But the concept, man, I think it's probably going on like 7 years right now that I created the product and put it on market. Yeah.
Shark
So
Tank is I'm assuming next stop is Shark Tank or
I would love for that to happen, but I'm scared of Kevin. Kevin gonna ask me for my sales, and I just want it to be a lot more than it is, because he's gonna be like, "What's sales?" Like, so.
Right,
You
right,
know,
right.
Prepared for Shark Tank. They're sharks for real, so you got to be prepared. But I did mention it's on Amazon. I'm about to change that, and I'm going to create my own website. So, and I do have a website called Zoe Exotics, and that's going to be the platform where you're going to be able to get all types of things from me. Music, designs, candles, all types of stuff. So zoeexotics.com.
One stop shop. I like to hear that.
Yep.
Now let's hop back into the music, and this can apply to your businesses as well. What has been some of the ups, and what have been some of the downs throughout your career?
Well, I think I'm just coming out of a down, because just moving out of New York and just having to transition and get adjusted to things. That sorry. And just get adjusted to things was kind of a downside, because I just had to focus more on working, building my career, starting fresh, building a new career in a different place.
Right.
So then it left less room for music. It left less room for entrepreneurship. But I think right now I'm just pretty settled, and I'm ready to get back into that space.
Okay. Now let's take a little deep dive into the music. So who are some of the producers you've worked with? Because again, Yo-Yo, I like, and again, I told you this before, I really enjoyed that song. I really like it. I like the way it flows. It's a really good vibe. You know what I mean? But who are some of the producers and sound engineers that you've worked with that creates the sound of Zoe Rosegold?
Mm. That song, I believe the producer is Caesar. His name is Caesar, and
Mm-hmm.
most of my music has been uh the sound engineer, Michael Ashby. So
Okay.
he actually did Bodak Yellow and for Cardi.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, he's in New York. So I haven't recorded uh anything outside of New York. I'm going to explore that, but that's the main person I've used, and we work really well together, and I think he's really talented.
And that's good because a lot of times you find that one, and I don't care what it is, whether it's a hairdresser or a
Mm-hmm.
barber, and it's like if it's working for you, it works for you. You know what I
Right.
mean? And
Yep.
and again, this is not to say that it's wrong to have several other sound engineers, but I mean, if you have something that works, if it ain't broke, why don't fix it, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that's good that you're highlighting on an individual that knows Zoe Rosegold, knows your flow, knows how you do things, and I'm sure it makes not only the recording process easier, but it definitely makes it a lot. I'm sure it's fun being able to create in the studio with someone, a like-minded individual like the ones you're working with.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Mm.
All right, so talk about rate. I know we name drop Radio Pushers. So tell the people what Radio Pushers is and your role in it, and what you do, because you wear a lot of hats. And again, I've learned a lot from you. So tell the people about Radio Pushers.
Yeah. Well, Radio Pushers is just like an organization for independent artists. It kind of guides independent artists to be the best they can be, and to reach to the heights they want to reach. So there's just a lot of guidance, and not a lot of platforms or organizations provide all of that. So it's a great organization. I mostly do podcasting. I'm also the host of Speed Networking on Spotify Live. I'm a podcast host for Rap Decoded and Dream Hustle Win.
Mm-hmm.
I just do some voiceovers and things like that sometimes when they need me to. So that's about it.
Yeah. Again, I came across Radio Pushers right around the time I released my first record, and they are as advertised. So if there's any independent artists out there that want to at least know about Radio Pushers, I would just recommend going to radiopushers.tv and check out what they offer. And I guarantee you, you're going to walk away learning something, and, get in contact with Jonathan P. Wright, get in contact with Patience J, and they'll be able to answer all the questions that you may have, because I know you're going to have a lot of questions, but definitely get on their calendar and they'll definitely talk to you. A couple more things before we get out of here. Tell us about any upcoming projects, whether it's music or any products you have that's going to be coming up in the immediate or distant future.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I have the rose petal pillow sheets. You guys will be able to get that on my website, zoeexotic.com. That's Zoe Exotic, no S at the end, zoeexotic.com. And you'll also be able to get my music. I still think Yo-Yo and High Grade, I still want to push those songs because those songs I think everyone will like it. Everyone does like it. I do have a song that I recorded at the House of Hits called Voila.
Mm-hmm.
And that song, I just think it is my latest one. So that'll be coming out soon. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it. So just make sure you go to that zoeexotic.com website, and then you'll be able to get all the products, the candles, and the music.
Okay. And where does your music actually fit into the realm of hip hop, in your opinion?
I think it's more, I wouldn't place it in hip hop. I mean, right now, when they say hip hop, is very, very broad.
True.
I think there's a lot of things that sound R&B that they consider hip hop. I think there's a lot of hip hop artists that's doing things that sound like R&B. So it's just kind of confusing as far as the genre. But I wouldn't want to just box myself in as a hip hop artist.
Very true. Very true.
I just myself as an international artist who can sing hold a note a little bit, and do rap as well. So yeah, I don't think it's one genre that I can say I fit in.
Okay. Now, where can everyone find you, whether it's website, social media, YouTube, everything? Where can the people find you?
Right. Okay. So like the website I was saying, www.zoeexotic.com, that's coming soon. But you guys could also find me on Instagram at official Zoe NYC. That's official ZOEE NYC. Also, you can find me on YouTube at Zoe Rosegold, public figure. I'm also on TikTok and as Zoe Rosegold, and and Twitter. Twitter is something that I think after it was bought out, that a lot more people using. So I'm also on Twitter as well.
Okay. Well, Zoe, as I stated before, I've definitely learned a lot from you, and, sky's the limit for all of us. And I definitely appreciate you coming on to the D-Lew Podcast, and look forward to having you down the road.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for inviting me. It was fun. And, I'm sure we'll talk very soon.
Definitely. All right.
Well, that does it for this week's edition of the D-Lew Podcast. Again, I want to thank Zoe Rosegold for stopping by and giving us the 411 of what's going on with her and what she's doing. And I wish her all the best in what she continues to do. Now, as far as me, you can follow me on social media, okay? That's Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Snapchat, at The Real D-Lew. Facebook is Derrick T. Lewis official page. Make sure, guys, you subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/The Real D-Lew, where you can get some of the past episodes that I've done on the D-Lew podcast. And I'm still going to be uploading some more content regarding the podcast, but you'll also get to see a lot of my music videos, as well as some of my acting reels. You'll be able to see some of those things as well. Make sure that you subscribe to the D-Lew podcast, okay, on all platforms, and that's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Pandora, you name it. Name the platform and it's probably on there. So just search the D-Lew podcast and make sure you go there. You can listen to it on Believe.com as well. I have music out there, guys. My single Selfish Pride is still out there on all platforms. My EP, my dance EP, I might add, Every Second Make It Count, is on all platforms. So make sure you check that out. Give it a few spins, okay? Share it as well. And of course, there is my store, shop.derricklewis.com, where you can actually get some really cool tees and hoodies. So make sure you tap in with that. Well, once again, I thank you all for listening. Thank you so much for your support. And always remember, no matter what you do in life, always remember to make it count. Take care, guys.